You can buy it today and pay for it later, and here's the best thing, you pay for it out of the profits of the business. In other words, the business self-finances. The way everyone thinks you buy a business is you go to your bank manager and say, I want to buy a business. The bank manager says, how much is it? And you say, it's £500,000. And he says, okay, how much equity have you got in your house and how much cash can you contribute? And they might give you a loan and they take security over your house and you put your life savings in as well. You cash out your pensions, put all the money in. You give that £500,000 to the owner of the business. The owner of the business gives you the keys. You do the swap. Yeah. They've got your money, you've got their keys, and now you're left to it. And that's actually what a lot of people still do. Even though I teach thousands of people how to do it a better way, there are still people who do it what I call the old-fashioned way. Yeah. And that's high risk. It's high risk because you've borrowed the money, and we don't really want to borrow money, do we? Yeah, but that is high risk. We secured it against our properties, so if we can't pay it back, the bank takes our property. We've given it to someone who's just given us a whole bunch of promises about what the business can do. They've given us the keys. They've sailed off into the sunset. They're on the world cruise, and you're now trying to figure out how to make the whole thing work. Yeah. High risk. So what we do is, if we need finance to buy the business, and we don't always need finance, we'll leverage the assets inside the business. Right. So this is a little bit like when you buy a house, your own personal property, you're leveraging the property to pay for the property. You're using the property as collateral for the loan to buy it itself. Yeah. You're borrowing against it to buy itself. And that's what we're going to do with the business. Now, there are some businesses that don't have assets. So these are often service businesses. So there are no assets. So we have to be a little smarter if we don't have any assets. So sometimes we can actually buy a business today and we can pay for it later. Yeah. Now, this often seems quite a sort of unusual concept to most people, but you can buy it today and pay for it later. And here's the best thing, you pay for it out of the profits of the business. In other words, the business self-finances. We just use the profits that the business generates. We give half of that, for example, to the seller of the business, and the other half is ours. If you want to find out how to buy a business successfully, get your free business buying toolkit. The link is in the video description below. People often say to me, what's my best advice about buying 53 businesses during a pandemic? And I say, don't buy 53 businesses during a pandemic. I mean, it was incredibly stressful. It was a great time to buy, a terrible time to operate. You know, we had hundreds and hundreds of staff, and it was just very, very stressful. And actually probably the most stressful time of my life, unintentionally. But you don't have to do that. You can do one deal, and one deal can change your life. So, you know, if you buy a business that's making, let's say, £300,000 profit after tax a year, and maybe we're doing the financing method that I just described. So half of that for the next 2 or 3 years goes out of the door to the seller. You know, after 2 or 3 years, then all of it's yours. Yeah. So 150 goes out the door to the seller, 150 comes to you. You're still £150,000 a year better off. Yeah. Now, the other key thing, and this is very, very important, you're not buying a job. You're not buying a business so you can turn up every day, sit behind a desk and solve everyone's problems for them, which is actually what most business owners do. Most business owners, or many business owners I should say, actually have created a job for themselves where they sit behind a desk and solve everyone's problems and go home exhausted and then go into the office on Saturday to get some work done. Yeah. So we don't want to do that at all. We actually want to, and this isn't being lazy, but we want to work less for more. So what we do is we buy businesses where other people can run them and operate them. Yeah. That means we need to buy larger businesses, because small businesses, owner-operated businesses, mean that the moment you buy the business, the owner leaves, there's nothing left. So I was consulting with a client in Canada, and the client says, I found an accountancy business, Jonathan. I want to buy this accountancy business. So I said, so tell me all about it. And he said, well, there's 4 staff. I said, okay, so tell me about the 4 staff, because it sounds rather small. He said, well, one's the owner. Okay, well, the owner's going. And the other's the owner's wife. Okay, they're going. And then there's the owner's son. I said, well, they're going. I said, who's left? He said, well, the receptionist. I said, well, they're not going to be too happy about running this accountancy business, so there's no business left. So we want to buy a business that's large enough to actually have somebody who looks after the finances, somebody who looks after the operations, somebody who looks after the people, somebody who looks after the marketing. A business that's self-sufficient, so when you take the owner out, it still operates, it still runs. Now, the good thing about those businesses, apart from the fact that you don't have to go in there and run it every day, is that they're bigger businesses, they're more profitable businesses, which actually means there's more upside to you. If you're looking for a tough lawyer for a tough deal, try John Andrews. His details are in the video description below. Now, I know it's not all about the money, but if we're going to do this, we might as well make some money along the way. In which case, we're not making 150, we might make $1 million plus. Now, I've got clients making more than £1 million a year from businesses they bought that they do not operate, they do not manage. In fact, many times, I'm thinking of some examples from my clients today. They've bought businesses like Karsten. Karsten is Danish, he lives in London. Last year, he bought a business that does tree surgery. Now, he's a management consultant. He doesn't know anything about tree surgery businesses. He's still got his management consultancy. He's now got a tree surgery business that makes him £300,000 a year after he's paid everyone.